Okay, YouTubers, it is time for yet another ride-on comparison. So today what I'm going to be comparing are RZR dirt bikes. Over here I have the MX350 and over here I have the MX650. I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, so these are their dirt bikes. Of course, the smaller ones for the 6-year-old, and my 10-year-old daughter rides this one. I have a cheat sheet here because the days of me remembering all these numbers are far gone. But I'm going to go over all the statistics and differences of these bikes because it's a lot to cover. They're very different, and they're, of course, for very different age groups. So let's get right into the numbers and let's talk about which one might be best suited for you and your children. So first, the specification everybody wants to know is speed. And who could blame them? You know, it was the first thing I looked up to. So the MX350, your top speed, according to RZR, is going to be 14 miles per hour. Some people say it's 12. RZR says it's 14, so I'm going with 14. And your MX650 is going to be 17 miles per hour. So not a huge difference in speed. And the reason for that is even though this is much bigger and has a bigger motor, more voltage, all that stuff, the fact is this is a much heavier bike and it also can carry a much heavier person. So when they talk about how fast it can go, that's going to also depend on how heavy the person is that's riding it. So that'll take me right into the next specification, which is how much weight these can carry. The MX350 can carry a maximum weight rider of 140 pounds, whereas this one goes all the way up to 220 pounds. So again, that speed might depend on if this is a 220 pound person compared to a 140 pound person on this one. That's going to play a big role in how fast these things go. Okay, and the next specification that is really important is runtime. So not a huge difference here. The runtime on the MX350 is 30 minutes according to RZR, and of course, again, that's going to depend on how heavy the rider is and how fast you ride it. Whereas the MX650 has a runtime of 40 minutes. Again, according to RZR's website. So, you know, you have to take all that with a grain of salt because, like I said, that really just depends on rider speed, how you're riding, where you're riding, grass, concrete, things like that. But in the end, ultimately, this does have a little bit longer ride time than the MX350. Okay, the next specification I will talk about is voltage. This is a 36 volt ride-on, so it has 3 12-volt batteries. This is a 24-volt ride-on, so it only has 2, which would be important, especially when it comes time to change the batteries, because they are, if you buy them from RZR, they can get fairly expensive. But a battery pack for this MX650, a 3-pack, will run you somewhere between $120 and $150. And this one's going to be cheaper. You could probably get a pack for this one for somewhere between $80 and $100. So, and you will wear these batteries out if they ride them a lot. They'll last you a couple years, and then you're going to have to change them. And talking about voltage, that brings us right into the motor. The motor on this one is a 350 watt, hence the name MX650. And then, of course, it goes without saying that the MX650 is a 650 watt, 36 volt motor. Now the next difference, rather large difference between these, is tire size. The MX350 has 12-inch front and rear tires, so they're pretty small, whereas the MX650 is set up more like a traditional gasoline-powered dirt bike, where it has the larger 16-inch front tire and the smaller 14-inch rear tire. And as you can probably see in the video, the MX650 does have front and rear suspension, which can definitely make a big difference on rougher terrain, whereas the MX350 has a rigid frame. You Harley riders know all about that. So this has no suspension, and it is very rough, especially compared to the MX650 when I'm watching my kids ride them. But the truth is, my 6-year-old son, kids don't care. So he's fine with it. It may be a little safer to have the suspension because it does keep that ground contact of the tire to ground better when it has a suspension, but the MX350 does not have any suspension on it. And another big difference between these two bikes is the brakes, and this is a big difference. The MX350 has a single rear drum brake, Works great. My son has no problem stopping the bike. But the MX650 has front and rear disc brakes. And this has much better brakes, and of course they're front and rear brakes, more like a traditional motorcycle. All the brakes are on the handles. There's no foot brakes on either one of these. So that is a big difference between these two bikes. Now, as far as weight goes, these things, all razors, I've got a lot of experience at razor ride-ons, the quads, both the 350 or I believe it's the 350 watt, the smaller dirt quad, and the 500. And it's in some of my previous videos. I do a comparison between those two. But in my experience, these razors are really built like tanks. They're very well built ride-ons. I know the little dirt quad that bought my daughter when she was 4, she's 10 now. My son, she went through it, my son went through it, and I actually gave it to a coworker because we had painted it for my son because it had some pink on it and he didn't like that. So it wasn't really worth a whole lot after all the stuff we did to it. So I gave it away, and to my knowledge, my coworker's son, who's probably 5 now, is still riding that quad. So again, they're very well built ride-ons, which comes to the weight, which brings me to the weight. This is a 70-pound, just a hair over 70 pounds, the MX350. So this is not a lightweight ride-on. And the MX650 is 98 pounds. So this is almost a 100-pound ride-on. It's very heavy, but that goes to just how well they're built. And lastly, the last thing I'm going to talk about is seat height. And it looks drastic when you look at it right here, but there's actually only a 2-inch difference. This is a 22.5 seat height, and this is a 24.5. But don't let that 2-inch fool you. 2 inches is a lot of difference when it comes to seat height. Distances, lengths can be very deceiving when you're talking wheelbases and seat heights and things like that. A little can really make a big difference. So that's your specification differences on these bikes. I'm going to give you some side-by-side shots, both frontal and side-by-side, so you can get a really good idea of just how different these two bikes are. And then finally, I'll bring the utes in and I'll get them to sit on the bikes, and so you can actually see what size they are while a child is sitting on them. Okay, so here is your frontal shot, and you can see just how taller the front end of the MX650 is, and that goes to that 4-inch taller tire that's sitting on the front of this bike. But as you can see, there is a drastic size difference between these two. And here's your side view. And I'm sitting here looking at this, and I gave you the seat height based on the specifications off of Razor's website. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get a tape measure, and I'm actually going to measure these seat heights because that's not 2 inches. So let me go and grab a tape measure, and we'll get an actual measurement on this for y'all. Okay, so let's get an actual seat height, and I'm going to go ahead and stand these up straight, and we're going to get this right. Seat height on this one, boy, were they off. Seat height on this bike is 17.25 inches. This is the MX350. 17.25 inch seat height. That'll teach me to use website specifications. MX650 seat height. This is going to be a 22-inch seat height. Big difference, both between the two and between what the internet told me. I mean, it's on the internet, it had to be true, right? Again, 17.5. 22. Big difference. Since that specification is blown out the window, let's go ahead and get a real wheelbase on these two bikes. Wheelbase on the MX350, 32.5 inches. And no, I'm not hitting the center of the axle. It's just not going to happen. Wheelbase on the MX650, 37.5 inches. Big difference there as well. Handlebar height, 350. 28 inches to the center of the handlebar, or the grip, I should say. MX650, 34 inches to the center of the handlebar, or the grip. And I'll do a quick measurement from about where your child would sit to the grips. So how far their arms will extend, probably about, anywhere from 10 to 12 inches, depending on how they sit, and anywhere from, say, 14 to 16 inches, depending on how they sit on the bike. Again, pretty big difference. Really set up for a larger kid with longer arms over here. Okay, so here you can see my son. He is 4 feet tall. Yeah, we're not gonna ride right now, little man. He's 4 foot tall. Just sit on the bike, baby, like you normally would when you're riding. Lift your feet up and put them on the pegs with the kickstand down. Go ahead and lean it over with the kickstand down. Okay, and here he is sitting the way he would when he rides the bike. So he could actually go up to the MX500, but the MX350 is working out really well for him. I'll show you just how small he is on the MX650, just to give you an idea on size difference. Okay, here's my son sitting on the MX650, which it looks from this angle with the kickstand down and him with his feet up, it looks like it fits him. Go ahead and put your feet down and stand with the bike. Go ahead and lift the bike up off the stand. But as you can see here, he struggles to keep he can't flat foot the bike. It's just too tall. So he's not quite ready for this bike yet. Because this is my daughter, she is 57 inches tall and she's 10 years old. And you can see here in the riding position with the kickstand down, how she fits the bike, which, you know, you can make your own judgments as far as age requirements, but she's 10 and she fills that bike up. So go ahead and stand the bike up like and put your feet on the ground. And you can see here her knees are bent holding the bike up. She's flat-footed, so you know, the bike could actually be bigger and she would still be fine on it. So that's her on this bike. I'll put her on the 350 just so you can see what she looks like on it. And here you can see her on the MX350 with her feet up like she's riding with the kickstand down. And go ahead and stand it up, put your feet down, Madison. And there's her on it. I mean, she can't even put her legs, she has to put her legs out to the sides because she's so close, right, just like that. Just because she's just so tall for the bike. So that gives you a really good idea of how big these bikes are with my children on them. Maybe that'll help you decide what size you need. So, all right, Madison, good job. Okay, so that concludes this video. I hope this comparison was helpful. My Razor quad video, I'll put a link to it above. So if anybody's looking for Razor quads, you can go to that one. It's very old. My children were much younger at the time, but it still might help somebody. These two bikes, these are really good bikes. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of Razor. They're very well built. They last a long time. Yes, they're expensive, especially this one, which that's one specification or number I didn't go over was price. This one is gonna run you $259.99 from Walmart.com as of today. And I'm sure it's the same on Amazon and other websites as well. This one is gonna run you $579.99 at Walmart.com and other websites as well. So big difference in price. Matter of fact, with this one, you are getting up to the price range close to a decently, a used name brand small dirt bike like a Honda CFR 50 in decent shape. And look, I buy all my ride-ons used except for the Razor quads. I did buy those new because I couldn't find them. This one was very difficult to find used. It took quite a while. This video has been in my head for a while. I've been wanting to do it, but it took a long time to find this bike. These are easy to find. Buy them at Academy off the shelf, wherever. This you almost have to order unless you have a retailer around you that carries them. I don't have one. So this took a couple months to find used in good shape. So that's the review and the covering of these two bikes. Hope it helped. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if these videos help. My videos are all over the place. I don't have a single theme or topic, but I do a lot of these size comparison on children's ride-ons. So if you want to see more, just subscribe and I'll probably have more coming in the future. Thanks for watching.